Welcome. I'm Rabbi Brigitte Rosenberg, one of the rabbis at United Hebrew Congregation, and I also serve as chair of Jewish Federation's Israel and Overseas Committee. And I'm honored this evening to share some words of Torah. This week we read from Parashat Kedoshim in Leviticus. And with this parasha, we find ourselves at the very center of the Torah, at the midway point. The parasha opens with God instructing Moses to tell the people, Kedoshim tihiyu, that you shall be holy because I, God, am holy. This instruction is meant not just for Moses, Aaron, and the priests, but for the entirety of Am Yisrael, with the idea that holiness and being holy is for everyone in the community and not just a particular individual. Parshat Kedoshim offers us a blueprint for what it means to be holy, as after we hear everyone be holy, there's a litany of laws that follow. Revere your parents, leave extra crops for the poor and the stranger, do not steal, lie, nor place a stumbling block before the blind, as well as not to hate your brother in your heart, not take revenge or bear a grudge, and finally, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. So often when we read and hear these words, we focus on them as a universal call of our obligation to all people, because that is a part of what it means for us to be holy, as we are reminded again and again our why. One of them is that we were strangers in Egypt, and we understand how that feels. And yet, if we look closely at some of the specific words in the Hebrew, such as amecha, your people, achicha, your brother, b'nei amecha, members of your people, we see that these obligations are not entirely universal words. These words are quite particular, and their placement at the middle, at the center of our Torah, is perhaps a reminder that yes, we have an obligation to be universally holy, and even more so, is this the reminder that we have an obligation to ourselves, to our people, to Am Yisrael. And sometimes this holy work of focusing on our community is the hardest work of all, especially when we remember that Am Yisrael, this glorious community of which we are part, is made up of individuals with differing thoughts, ideas, and reactions to the world around us. This idea was made clear by some courageous Jewish students at Columbia who penned a letter speaking up for themselves, saying, and I'm going to paraphrase, "We are here writing to you as Jewish students who are connected to our community and deeply engaged with our culture and history. We speak in our name. All it takes are a couple of coffee chats with us to realize that our visions for Israel differ dramatically from one another. Yet we all come from a place of love and an aspiration for a better future for Israelis and Palestinians alike." They go on to say it is never too late to start repairing the fractures and begin developing meaningful relationships across political and religious divides. This letter, their words for me, are the heart of Parashat Kedoshim and what it means for us to be holy, to be in relationship with one another, seeing the divine and the holy in each other, even when we don't see eye to eye, and can still work together as one biyachad for the betterment of our community and our world. Tonight, we are here to acknowledge the impact of and celebrate the work of our Jewish Federation and our St. Louis Jewish community, as well as to recognize some amazing and inspirational people who are embodying Parashat Kedoshim with their holy work. So for this moment, let us push pause on all the negativity, fear, and trauma of the past 7 months. And let us instead celebrate and elevate the positivity, hope, strength, and resilience of Am Yisrael. And may we never, never forget our obligation to each other, to our people, to Am Yisrael, to work b'yachad as one, to bring holiness and blessing to each other, and then to the rest of the world. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Rosenberg, for those words and for reminding us why we are all here, because the work that we do every day with your help is holy. So as I stand here, I would say that if you asked me if I have mixed emotions, that would be a bit of an understatement right now. But I'm going to try and share a few of the things that are swirling around in my head as we have the opportunity to be here together tonight, to thank one another, to acknowledge some of our incredible community members and award winners. The first thing that I think about, or the first emotion that's going through me, is gratitude. We are here tonight, first and foremost, to thank each and every one of you in this room and acknowledge the tremendous achievement of our St. Louis Jewish community over the past year. And I get tired of saying this, but it was a year that we could have never imagined. I feel like I've said that every year since I got here. It goes without saying that the annual campaign fuels the Federation's ability to fund an incredibly diverse range of services, both here and abroad, and supporting and helping those with whom we share a common bond. And in this year of loss and uncertainty and need, our help has never been more important. That support came through the generosity of every one of you here, many people who are not in this room. It came due to the care and direction of our board of directors, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank everyone who has served or currently serves on our board, as well as through the hard work of the Federation staff who make everything we do possible. And I'm going to pause here just to say, we have an incredible staff here. There are many people on our staff, yes. There are many people on our staff who are absolutely the best at what they do in this country. And there are many more people who have the capacity to be that. St. Louis is a beacon, is a light for other communities. A lot comes out of this community that others follow. Ultimately, after raising the funds from many of you, based on our priorities and values, we put them back into the community through our partner organizations. And I'd like to take a second to acknowledge all of the partners that we have in this room, whether you are a staff person, a volunteer, a board member with one of them, because those are the organizations who do the direct work necessary to meet the needs in this community. The second emotion that I have swirling around is, or that makes me think of, is perseverance. The grit and responsiveness of this community has been really impressive. The last 4+ years, as I've said, since Barb and I moved here with our family, have been marked by unimaginable challenges, literally unimaginable. I mean, the first was the pandemic, if anyone can even remember it. But the pandemic that shut down our world and had us wondering and questioning, how are we going to do work? Then a war in Ukraine and a war in Israel and growing and expanding anti-Semitism, particularly on our college campuses and high school campuses. It has been a lot. But through it all, we have come together as a community to try and find solutions and to support one another. We did that and we honored our Jewish traditions and values, particularly the ones of caring for one another and lifting each other up. And that's something that I think we can be very proud of. The third thing that goes through my mind is a little bit of perspective. This organization has been faced with challenges we never could have imagined. And we've responded forcefully, I think creatively, and timely to each of them. I'm going to keep those challenges and working through them with many of you in this room in my heart for a long time, but I also will keep the milestones and memories that we've achieved. There have been incredible things that we should be really proud of that have happened over these last 4 years. The first and foremost of which, at least in my mind, is the creation and launch of the new, now independent, St. Louis Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum. but also the way that our professional community came together after each crisis and during each crisis to support one another, the way that we at Federation put a significant focus on and development of our culture and values over these past years at a really trying time, the building out of our board and creating a strong representative lay pipeline into the future, and finally, how quickly we were able to mobilize as a community and provide support for those who were suffering, certainly after Ukraine, but most importantly, in the immediate hours and days after the October attacks in Israel. On a personal level, I will say that working with and on behalf of all of you to lead this federation and this community has been an honor. I truly, truly wish to thank each of you, whether you're a staff person, a volunteer, a donor, a member of the community. Getting to meet and talk with you and see the light that is St. Louis has really been incredible. But I just briefly need to single out 3 people. The first is Jerry Greiman, who reached out and made this opportunity possible. The second is Greg Yawitz for being my partner at a really incredible time in the world and for this organization. And finally, to Bob Newmark for continuing that partnership during even more tsuris, and despite the position that I've put you in by announcing my resignation. Your collective trust in me and the opportunity to partner with so many of you, I'm looking out and I see a lot of you, the opportunity to partner with so many of you and the willingness of this community time after time to try a different path, and they've been a joy and really something I've really enjoyed being a part of. After all, that's what we are here to do tonight. We're here to celebrate one another and to reaffirm ourselves and our support for this community and the Jewish community around the world, and to protect and honor that vibrant Jewish life that we help support. I want to thank you all so much, and welcome to the stage, Bob Newmark, Chair of the Board.
Thank you, Brian, and good evening to all of you. It's really great to be with such a great crowd, and I'm just so thrilled that so many of you chose to come out and spend a little time with us this evening. This has been quite a year. Some of you will probably recall that when we were together at this time last year, I shared with you my own personal story about why it is that I engage in the work of Federation, and why I know so many of you do so as well. And I centered that story around a trip I took to Italy, specifically Venice, and the remarkable courage of the Jewish community leader there during the Holocaust. I'd like to pick up that thread tonight by telling you about another trip that I took to Italy. Last fall, Kara and I joined 2 of our close friends for a hiking trip in Italy. We hiked in Cinque Terre and also in Tuscany. It was really extraordinary, and this was actually a prelude to a planned community trip to Israel, marking the 75th anniversary of the founding of Israel. As you can imagine, when Hamas carried out its brutal attack on October 7th, this upended our plans, both in Italy and also to go to Israel. And it also changed the course of our work here at Federation, pretty much on a dime. We worked quickly and efficiently to set up an Israel Emergency Task Force, co-chaired by Tim Stern and Abby Goldstein. And this task force operated for several months, helping to guide Federation and our community through solidarity gatherings, broader community outreach, and fundraising to support our Jewish family in Israel. As a community, we participated in a national JFNA effort that to date has raised and deployed about $800 million. In this community, we contributed over $7 million when we stopped counting. And that's quite a number, quite a number. That's something that about which I think we all can be quite proud, especially considering that our annual campaign finished last year at $8.7 million. And so we raised so much in that context. But our impact is more than a number. So I want to share a story with all of you that I found particularly compelling. It demonstrates to me why it is that we do what we do and the power of collective philanthropy and making a difference in the lives of our community. Last month, I finally made that trip to Israel. I went with a group of fellow St. Louisans on a solidarity mission. We met with current and former government officials, authors, educators, program coordinators, IDF soldiers, and normal Israelis with regular day jobs. We met with an Arab Israeli leader and survivors of the October 7th attack. We met with the father of Tal Shaham, a hostage who's still in captivity. Needless to say, it was a powerful trip, and every interaction helped shape and inform our understanding of what happened, what is happening, and where things may go from here. But none of those meetings was more impactful than our time with a therapy program called Free Spirit that is physically situated in our partnership region, Yokneam, Megiddo. Before October 7th, Free Spirit was a high-end, for-profit rehab program for people struggling with trauma and or addiction. This is a really interesting program. They have a boat, and they have space on Cyprus, and they used that facility and the boat in their treatment program. And when October 7th occurred, Rami Bader, who runs the program, huddled with his staff and discussed the societal needs for trauma therapy that had exploded literally overnight. They decided that they would offer their resources without charge, and they immediately commenced operating a charitable organization instead of their for-profit business. And people came. Cohort after cohort, primarily of kids who had survived the Nova Music Festival, and others as well. We heard the personal, heart-wrenching stories of some of the survivors while we were there, bearing witness to the tragedy. It was emotionally charged and every bit as awful as you might imagine. After our group finished our meeting, Rami was going to take our group on a facility tour. And as he and I were standing outside, he told me that by late last year, they had run out of money to keep the program running. They had burned through their reserves, and they had no income coming in to keep the staff together. And yet the number of people reaching out to them to participate in their program was continuing to grow. Rami sat down at a table outside one morning and was preparing to make the decision to cease operations when he began to cry. And while he was crying there, Eliad Eliyahu, who runs our partnership program in the Yokneam Megiddo area, showed up. Eliad had a check with him for $40,000 from the St. Louis Jewish Federation, funds that we had raised in our Israel emergency campaign effort. Because of this check, Rami told me, they were able to keep making a difference. And additional funding has arrived from JFNA and other federations, so they are still offering their program for free today. Your generosity made that possible, helping so many young Israelis to heal and begin to put their lives back together. Our campaign touched so many people in countless ways, and this is truly something for which we can all be extremely proud. This is why we do what we do. No other organization had the infrastructure and personnel in place to build unity in our community and solidarity, to raise funding to make a difference when and where it was needed most. This is your federation at its finest. Overall, in 2023, St. Louis Federation raised over $19 million And we deployed about $9.5 million of that into our partner agencies and community programming. We helped seniors live in comfort and dignity. We helped young families attend quality day schools. We helped the 25% of our community members who live in poverty to have food and find counseling when needed. We supported amazing programs for community members at the J, at Hillel, Chabad, at 85 agencies in total that make a difference in the well-being of our community. And our annual campaign showed real growth year over year, moving up to $8.7 million, as I noted. And we are working hard to exceed $9 million this year. Inflationary pressures mean that those dollars don't go as far as they once did, and we ask everyone to consider an increase in their annual campaign support. So this brings me to current events. We've witnessed a confounding backlash to the horrific events of October 7th. Rather than feeling comfort and support from the wider community, we are feeling the assault of anti-Semitism and isolation. And you know, I'll say what many of you I know are also thinking. There is a real tragedy unfolding in Gaza. It would take someone less than human to turn a blind eye to the suffering of the Palestinians. But that suffering is not a justification for pro-Hamas support or other anti-Semitic behavior. We are fortunate that our federal government has been extremely supportive of Israel and its actions since October 7, even when there have been policy disagreements. And the vast majority of Americans continue to support Israel through all of this. The loud voices on college campuses and the like are a tiny minority, still within our country. We need to work every day to keep it that way. We need more outreach, more engagement with elected officials, with civic and corporate leaders, with our own coworkers and friends. And we need to invest for the long term in maintaining those relationships. So at Federation, we have a lot of major work underway. We have a community study that is wrapping up. The field work is done, and we should be releasing data by late summer. The project has been led by Dahlia Oppenheimer and John Greenberg, and professionally led by Karen Scher. They've done an amazing job, and I'd like to ask you to please join me in recognizing them. We have a strategic planning process underway, and that project is being led by Todd Siwak and Stephanie Gross, and professionally led by Emily Bornstein. And we just completed an assessment of our community relations function in a process overseen by Mont Levy and professionally led by Karen Scher. We are in the early and quiet phase of a community campaign around enhancing support for our communal security needs. These needs have grown, and we need to be smart and build resources to address those for the future. We will be announcing leadership for the campaign and opportunities to support it in the near future. And as you know, we have a leadership transition underway at Federation, and our CEO search committee is being chaired by Craig Rosenthal and Abby Goldstein, and is already well underway. We have an incredibly engaged board, and I would like to ask all board members present to stand and be recognized. Thank you all for your tireless commitment on behalf of the community. And thank you to all of you for your ongoing support of our work. It has been a true honor for me to serve as board chair for the last 18 months. And although none of us could have anticipated the challenges we have faced, I can honestly say there was no better group with whom I could be doing this work. Thank you. Okay, as I noted, we have a leadership transition underway at Federation right now. And as Brian has announced his plans to move back to Minneapolis at the end of June. Brian, it has been a true privilege to work with you. Your command of the Jewish communal landscape, both here and nationally, is extraordinary. Your compassion for people in need and your commitment to the Jewish people, your steadfast support of your professional colleagues, We appreciate all of these attributes and the impact you have made over the last 4.5 years in St. Louis. So it is my privilege on behalf of the Jewish Federation and the St. Louis Jewish community to present you with a couple of small tokens of our appreciation and admiration. I think they're up here, hold on. Okay, the first because you need that. And reflecting that even further is this, this nice painting as well, watercolor. Yeah. Thank you. Brian, thank you, and best of luck to you in your next endeavor.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you all for being here. Now on to our awards. This is the exciting part of the evening. As a past recipient of the David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leadership Award and the Fred A. Goldstein Award for Professional Leadership, it is my honor to have the opportunity to welcome this year's recipients. The David N. and Rosalind Grossberg Young Leadership Award recognizes volunteer leaders in the Jewish community under 45 years of age who demonstrate commitment to the Jewish Federation of St. Louis's mission through volunteer leadership and participation in the annual campaign, as well as demonstrated excellence through leadership commitments, inspiring others, innovative ideas, positive spirit, and collaborative style. This award has been given out since the 1960s, and with a generous initial endowment from the Grossberg-Toder family, honorees receive a stipend toward a trip to Israel or educational experience. So this year, we have two awardees, Daphna Reva and Marianne Smiley-Sabin. You can read a little bit more about them in the program at your seat. I'm first going to start with Daphna, who's unable to be with us here today for very good reasons because she and her husband David just had a baby last week. And David was also a Grossberg honoree. So we look forward to presenting the award to Daphna at a future Federation board meeting. But I'll say a few things about Daphna, because I think it's being recorded. Previous to joining the Jewish Federation of Board of Directors in 2019, Daphna was actually on staff here at Federation as a grant writer and interim Young Professional Society associate. Daphna has served in several volunteer leadership roles, including Women's Philanthropy's Community Event Committee and the Lion and Pomegranate Committee. She is the vice president of CBD Kratom, the largest privately owned cannabis and kratom dispensary retail chain in the U.S. So when asked what she is proud of, Daphna shared, "I am proud of the Jewish community in St. Louis and around the world coming together since October 7th. For 7 months, I have seen Jews standing tall and supporting one another. When I started to plan the Shabbat table for the hostages in November, so many people lent a helping hand. It was amazing to see the community come together like that, and I want to thank everyone for their help." So congratulations to Daphna on a very well-deserved recognition. Marianne, a Women's Philanthropy board member. Marianne has a very long resume with the Jewish Federation. She will be a co-chair for the next Women's Philanthropy trip to Israel and was most recently the chair for the Women's Philanthropy community event held on October 7th. Marianne's involvement with Federation started with YPD, where she was integral in starting the YPD annual trivia night. And she has since co-chaired one of the most successful L'Chaim events, which raised more than $500,000 for the annual campaign. Additionally, she has served on the Women's Philanthropy Community Service Committee, chaired Hanukkah Hugs, the Shower Committee, the Pomegranate Appreciation Event Committee, Professional Society Event Committee, and co-chaired the Jewish Federation's One Night for City event. She's also served as the outreach chair for Sababa as an alum of the Jewish Women's Renaissance Project mission to Israel, and once again will travel to Israel with the Federation on a special solidarity trip later this May. So when asked, what does Federation mean to me? Marianne replied, "For me, the Jewish Federation represents a source of connection and strength. The Federation not only contributes to the well-being of our Jewish community, it helps us all navigate challenges, build resilience, and celebrate our joy. If we are not here for each other, I am not sure who else will be. Congratulations, Marianne, on a very well-deserved recognition. Would you please come up? They're going to take a picture. Yeah. Will all the former Grossberg honorees please stand to be recognized? And I know there are a number of you in the room who continue to serve the mission of Federation. Now on to the Fred A. Goldstein Award for Professional Leadership. This award recognizes outstanding professional leadership for a staff person who excels in their field, has a significant track record over time, has introduced important innovations, and perceived as role models for their other professionals and volunteers. This award has also been given out for over 60 years. So this year's awardee is Andrew Goldfeder. Since September 2018, Andrew has served as the executive director of Temple Emmanuel. Before joining Temple Emmanuel, Andrew spent over 9 years with the St. Louis Holocaust Museum and Learning Center, currently the St. Louis Kaplan Feldman Holocaust Museum, where he served as their manager of programs and logistics. Andrew's distinguished recognitions over the years include the J Associates Mitzvah Star Award and J Pro Emerging Leader Award. When asked what is the most exciting part of his job, Andrew answered, "The most exciting part of my job is building relationships with people. I love getting to know our members and their stories and supporting them as they find a connection in our sacred community. No 2 days are the same, and I look forward to the challenges of supporting programs, managing the day-to-day operations for the temple, and responding to needs as they come up." Andrew, will you please come over and accept your award? Will all former Goldstein awardee honorees please stand and be recognized? I will now like to welcome up to the podium Felicia Malter, who will present the Corporate Leadership Award.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Felicia Malter, and I have the pleasure to serve as Vice Chair of Finance on the Federation Board of Directors Executive Committee. During the day, I also get to serve clients and team members as a partner at Reuben Brown. Reuben Brown is one of the nation's leading accounting and professional consulting firms with a commitment to building personal relationships and delivering totally satisfied clients. I am also proud to say we are a longtime major donor to the St. Louis Jewish Federation, which started with our founders, Harvey Brown and Malin Rubin. Joining me here tonight are my partners, John Herber, chairman of the firm, and Jeff Sparks. The Reuben Brown Corporate Leadership Award is awarded annually by the Jewish Federation of St. Louis to a company that exemplifies philanthropic leadership in our community. The recipient of this award demonstrates a commitment and dedication to philanthropy that enhances our community in a meaningful way. Wallace Companies, along with the Wallace family, have clearly exhibited this commitment across our community, including significant investments in the Jewish community and Israel. Wallace Companies began when Bill Wallace, of blessed memory, purchased a small gasoline distributor in Cuba, Missouri in 1968. Over the 50-plus-year history, the company has grown from one store that Bill purchased at the beginning to a multi-state organization with more than 1,400 employees. Wallace's portfolio of businesses includes a retail chain of on-the-run convenience stores and transport, lubricant, wholesale, commercial fuels, and car wash divisions. Inspired by Bill's commitment to philanthropy, Wallace Companies and the Wallace family have shown a deep commitment to the St. Louis community, as well as Israel. Bill was extremely passionate about higher education, and Wallace Companies and the Wallace family have maintained that commitment today, providing scholarships across the community to worthy recipients to further their education. In the Jewish community, the Wallace family has supported many of our organizations, including the Jewish Federation, Temple Israel, and so many more. The Wallace family maintains a strong commitment to Israel, recently supporting emergency temporary housing for displaced Israelis and support to IDF soldiers and their families who have been called to duty. The Wallace family provides assistance to the Yozma Reform Synagogue in Modi'in to support Reform Jewish life and shared society work for Jews and Arabs through the Max Stern Yezreel Valley College. In addition, the Wallace companies support the Montana Jewish Project, which reacquired Montana's oldest Jewish synagogue and transformed the building into a functioning gathering place that regularly convenes and celebrates Jewish life. We are very fortunate to have Chad Wallace, chairman and president of Wallace Companies, and his wife Sarah with us here today. We want to thank Chad and his family, including his mother Lynn Wallace, sister Rachel Andreasen Wallace, and brother Adam Wallace, for everything they've done for our community. On behalf of Reuben Brown and the Jewish Federation of St. Louis, it is my honor to present the Wallace Company and the Wallace family with the Reuben Brown Corporate Leadership Award.
This is normally where we'd end, and I want to thank you for coming together and helping to build this community. We're going to look forward in 1 second. First, I want to acknowledge and thank Joe Peerless. Joe, where are you? I saw you earlier. Joe's right there. Joe served as our 2023 annual campaign chair. And many of you may know that Joe had something else come up in that time as well. And he has been doing more than 2 jobs at once. But Joe, you helped lead us to an increased campaign at a time where people were also giving to Israel. You did an incredible job of representing this organization, but the community, and reaching out broadly to make that happen. And we all owe you a debt of gratitude. Thank you, Joe. And so now we'll turn forward a little bit. As one, we support, respond, engage, and empower our community to make a difference. And I'd like at this point to invite our 2024 annual campaign co-chairs, Janie Rudman-Weiss and Galia Movitz, to the stage to share a few words on our way out. And just say that people are welcome to stay and eat and mingle and learn about Federation afterwards as well. Thank you for being here, and welcome to the stage, Galia and Janie.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, and thanks all of you for all that you do for our community. Obviously, as we look around, we'll see many of you with just history of just doing what it takes for us as Jews in our community. Janie and I are honored to be asked to chair the campaign at such challenging time. Anti-Semitism is on the rise, Israel in the midst of a very challenging war, and yet, at times like this, we, the Jewish people, always rise to the challenge and find ways to come together as one, putting aside our differences and taking care of one another. Kol Yisrael arevim ze baze. All of Israel are responsible one for the other. We do not take care of our own, then who will? It is our Jewish Federation for the past 123 years, working year after year to raise the necessary funds from people like you and I, so collectively we can help our community become the best it can. Now, more than ever, we need to raise the dollars that will enable us to meet today's growing needs. This is why Janie and I said yes, determined to work with all of you to make a difference. We have witnessed how people's lives can change in an instant, and we see as our responsibility to help our people know that they are never alone. Giving is a mitzvah. Making it possible to give is also a mitzvah. This is why everyone helping us raise the dollars needed is a mitzvah maker, M&M. And I like that M&M because it's sweet. It tastes good and it helps others. Together as one, we will build a better future for all. Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, Galia, and good evening to everybody. I just want to thank Galia for her meaningful and impactful message, and all the others who have spoken tonight for theirs as well. What has brought us here together this evening is, in addition to recognizing our incredible honorees, also the purpose and vision that Galia and others tonight have so eloquently expressed. Our Jewish Federation's annual campaign provides funding for 85 organizations, as Bob has already pointed out to us, synagogues and agencies as well, that touch the Jewish community in every corner of the St. Louis region and play a critical role in keeping us safe, supporting those who are in need, and making sure individuals can live a quality life of meaning and dignity. Again, we want to thank you for all of your support. We can't thank you enough. Everything that you do is important, everything, and it can make a difference. Please join us for a toast to honor our honorees and our community, and raise your virtual glass. I think we have a glass of wine coming, or water. Thank you. Yeah, that's okay. We're good. I had two. Okay. Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazak. Be strong, and may we all be strengthened together as we continue to make an impact in our community and touch everybody who needs us. And we just thank our community for being there and continuing to be there. Raise your glass and say L'chaim together. Thank you.
Here's to a great 2 years ahead.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.